Hi, my name is Leandro Facchinetti, and let's write some code together, shall we? What we have on the menu today is to start using the design system that we developed throughout many streams, but we ported it to the latest version of the library we are working on Friday. And we want to use said design system. So in case you just landed here, we are developing this library to help you develop JS effects. They are real-time audio processing thingies for REAPER. And I am developing this library that will include a design system, hopefully making it easier for you to develop better looking JS effects. And right now, I'm going to go over the previous incarnation of this library. We hit a wall and we started over. So there is this leftover code from the previous incarnation, and it is a lot of code. It's like 600 lines of code, but there is a lot of repetition here. So I think we'll be able to migrate some of this, if not all of this, today into the new version, which does not have the same problems as the previous versions. I will not get into the exact problems that the previous version had, but that will also be an opportunity for us to do some changes that we need to do on this version. So how about we start by reviewing where we are? I'm going to open a REAPER instance here, on which I'm going to mute and remove all the outputs and lower the volume. And I'm going to drop our demonstration effect in one of the tracks. In fact, I think this is already something that we can change. I usually don't have descriptions for my effects for no good reason. But if you don't have descriptions for your effects, they show up as the file name, which is okay for the most part. But I will give it a proper name, and this way it will show up. Well, it will not show the whole path, so it's not going to show // and .gsfx at the end. See, it shows up like this. And this is the one that is the old version that we are going to try to get rid of. Let's first review what we have. So we have our tests. These are unit tests for some data structures and algorithms that we have in the library. We are not showing the passing tests. We are only showing the tests that failed. So I thought that maybe we could change that and show passing tests as well. So that's probably something that we want to address today. Then the circular buffer is kind of okay. It is sort of a simple delay plugin to show that the circular buffer is working. And if I put my voice there, you can see that it's even plotting the audio as the audio comes through. And if I clap, you will be able to see that it's actually a delay of 1 second. See, it spiked again. Then next we have RMS. So this is just this slider computing the RMS of the audio coming in. And I guess this RMS kind of makes sense. We are around -24 and this is around -30. So the RMS is usually lower than the peak. So that makes sense. And then we have a filter, and I don't think we want to change much about this. And then my personal favorite, we have a discrete Fourier transform that we wrote from scratch. So that's what we currently have. And what we want to have is these other pages. You can see that this demonstration effect is for demonstrating the library. And in the old version, we had some pages to show off colors. And I think that's the only one missing because the tests have been ported, the filters have been ported, so it's only the colors that are missing. And that's what we are going to port. So we are going to show passing tests, we are going to review some namespacing problems in this effect, and we are going to port the colors. That's what we have on the menu for today. I'm going to commit this simple change of adding a description to the effect. And I think I'm going to start with this showing the passing tests situation. This is on the first page, and it's not exactly related to the design system. But in any case, this is the simple unit testing solution that we have. It's just an errors, a string that we add to in case the tests don't pass. And that's fine because silence means success, but it's not perfect. So how about we change these errors into tests? And since we are here, there is also this other to-do that I want to try to address today, which is this instance namespace thing. We had a bug last week that was related to the fact that multiple blocks of code in JSFX run simultaneously. Specifically, the Gfx block is rendering the user interface and the sample block is processing the audio, and both of these are running at the same time. And all the variables that exist in both blocks have the shared values. And we had a bug because the channel variable had the same name in both blocks, and then the blocks were stepping on one another. And the solution was to put a namespace on the variables. And you could just namespace the variables that are repeated, but it can be kind of difficult and annoying to track which variables are repeated and which are not, especially as the project grows. So I think it's smarter to just namespace everything. And we are going to namespace things based on their blocks. So if you have a variable that is supposed to only exist in the sample block, for instance, the sample variable, or even the sample channel variable, then you prefix those with sample. If it's a variable that is only supposed to exist in the GFX block, you prefix the variable with GFX, like GFX channel. And now GFX channel and sample channel will not conflict. Great. But what about variables that are supposed to exist in multiple blocks? That's the case of the error variable that we are changing into tests. It's supposed to exist in the init block where we run the tests, and it's supposed to be available on the GFX block where we show the test results. So how about we establish the naming convention of saying instance dot for variables that are supposed to exist in multiple blocks. I was initially going to go with global, but global is already a reserved name and it shows up as _global, but it's a reserved name in JSFX. It is a namespace where you put variables that exist across plugin instances. So if you drop the same plugin in multiple tracks, you can talk between the plugins using these global variables. And that's not what this is. So this is an instance scoped variable. So that's how we are going to call this. We are going to namespace this with instance tests. Now, I'm going to commit what I have, but I'm not sure that I can use namespacing in the names of strings. I suppose I can, because I can use namespacing everywhere else. But just in case, I'm going to make a test fail, and then we are going to remove the effect and re-add it so that the tests run, and then the test fails. So that's all right. That's exactly what we want. Now, let's change the tests so that they also show success. And I want to do this in a particular way. In fact, I want to do it like this. I want it to, first, always I'm going to add the title of the test. And I think it's going to look like this. Then if the test is passing, I'm going to add pass new line. Otherwise, I'm going to say fail new line. And now all the tests are going to show, even that, well, not all of them, this first one, but I'm proposing to do the same change to everywhere else. And then all the tests are going to show up and they are going to say pass or fail. And there is another advantage of this. When you're reading the code, you can see the description of the block of tests that you're going to see below. So I think that kind of reads nicely. Let's see what this looks like on the track. So see, it's showing the tests as passing. So you can see the tests that are passing that way. Great. Sometimes I would make a test fail just to make sure that the test was even executed. And yeah, everything I think just looks nicer this way. So I think this is going to be a bunch of just renaming, and I did make a song for this situation, But I don't have a quick way of playing the song, so let's just work through this together. This part is going to be the same on all tests. So how about we try to make this more systematic? I'm going to move up the description of the tests. That feels great. We have so many tests. I am proud of my past self. And this is the last one. From here on out, we are just allocating memory for everything else, like the delay lines that we have on our simple delay plugin. Or delay page, I should say. In any case, so we moved up all our tests. Now we need to put this column space and I think I can replace most of the new lines so we can do this in one pass. Oh, hit the wrong key. And there you have it. Now we need to change all the tests so that they are not saying not equals to, but equals to, and this needs to say and. So let's start with this one. Why am I making this change? Well, because now the tests are not just failing. If the test is successful, I also want to change something about the output. So I'm going to invert the logic. To say and. But also I need to invert the logic of the not equals to be equal. For the computer science nerds out there, what I'm using is a correspondence called, oh man, I forget the name. That's too bad. I forget the name. There is a name for this refactoring that I'm doing. Turning the ors into ands and the nots into equals. Oh, this is gonna bug me for the rest of the stream if I don't remember. And now we copy this pass and fail situation everywhere where we have this question mark. Oh, actually there was one thing that I saw, this. That I think is the only test that I was using equals instead of not equals. Now I'm just reviewing to see if I changed the lines that are tests. And it seems like I did. Okay, so let me find all the question marks. This is not the first one. Where is the first one? This is the first one. So now I'm gonna do the same thing. Finding all the question marks. This is the last one. Then I paste that. And I think we did it. Let me quickly glance over the thing again. Looking good. Seems like this is what I want. Let's see. Removing and re-adding. And the letter is really small right now. We are going to fix that using the design system in a bit. But check this out. All the tests are indicating that they are passing. This is great news. Our refactoring was successful, and I'm now showing the passing tests. Now I'm going to Google and try to find the name of this correspondence. Boolean, opposite, operation, not really. Not and into or something like that. Oh man, it's the name of a person. Axioms and Boolean algebra. Yeah, that seems like the kind of thing that I'm looking for. De Morgan laws. De Morgan's law. That is the thing that I was using. I turned, oh, this is weird notation, but I turned some not ors into and affirmatives. Yeah, whatever. It's De Morgan's laws. That's the law that I used for the nerds out there. Now, let's move on and look at all the variables that are instance variables. And how about we have a namespace for the slider variables as well? That could be kind of useful, right? So I think that my effects are going to be a bit verbose, but they're going to be very explicit. And if we have multiple variables, they're not going to conflict. I may want to do something like loop over the pages, or actually I have an instance of this issue already. I have the RMS calculator, and I have the RMS slider that is showing the result of the computation. And I am already using this to differentiate between the two. I have this RMS slider variable, and I have another variable called RMS, which is the RMS computer. So how about we establish a convention that says that instance variables are prefixed with instance, block variables are prefixed with their specific blocks, like for instance, the sample block is going to have the sample namespaced variables, and the sliders will also have their namespace. That could be useful. Bo is here. Hey Bo, great to have you. I don't know how I should call you. I usually call you Bo, but you sign your emails with Denarius. Should I call you Denarius? Hi Denarius, great to have you here. How are you doing? I am doing good. I hope you're feeling better. I'm so sorry that you were not well these past few days. Okay, so I'm going to rename this page variable into slider.page variable and delay length into slider delay length. And this is going to be slider RMS. So let's start with this last one because it's easy. Everywhere where I have RMS slider, I'm just going to rename to slider RMS. Next, everywhere where I have delay length, I will rename it to slider delay length. And I want to do this by hand. Oh, actually, I don't want to change this one. Yeah, I'll do it by hand because I don't know if I want to change all instances. For instance, this one doesn't make sense. I don't think. And I am fully aware that in all these renamings and everything that I'm doing, I'm probably going to break something, but it's fine. We'll find it and we'll fix it. Then for the page, oh, I don't know why I'm not renaming everything else. We'll get to all of this, whatever. Then for the page, we want to rename it to slider page. We're probably going to want to rename all of them, but it doesn't hurt to do this by hand just to make sure. All right, I think I got all of them. Let's commit what we have so far. Okay, I'm happy with what I have so far. And Bo says, I'm not picky with names. Either one works fine. Okay. Are there formulas for Bezier curves included? You mean for the thing that we keep talking about where you give me the curve points and the control points and I draw Bezier? We don't have that, but it's in the to-do list. We will have it. We will have this. We don't currently have it. I can schedule this for Thursday if you want. We can do that on Thursday. I don't think I can pull it off today. I kind of already have a lot on my plate because of all these renamings. But yeah, we can do it. Could be fun. Oh, see, I already have another instance where I have a dot slider situation going. Let me see if I have more of these dot sliders. Yeah, it seems like I do. So I am going to rename this guy separately because I want to remove the last bit. And then let me look at the instances of this. Okay, I think that this one I can safely just put a slider in the beginning. Then let's take a peek at this. Yeah, it seems like it's safe to do this for most of them, if not all of them. Okay, let's review this. I just put in slider namespaces everywhere. And just by looking at this, I cannot really check that I got all of them, but I can check that all the ones I changed make sense. And they do. Let's see how far we've gone. Let's see if everything is still working as it was. So the tests are still passing, that's all right. Circular buffer seems to still be doing its thing. All right. RMS, still calculating RMS. Filters. To actually show this, I would have to put a frequency spectrum analyzer after this, so I'm not going to right now. And then my favorite is still working. Great. So all these slider namespaces are there. And Bo says the formulas alone will do. Having graphics for it would be a nice bonus though. Sure, yeah. Yeah, so there you go, Bo. That's what we are gonna do on Thursday. Of course, tomorrow I haven't really confirmed this with Arya, but I think we are up for continuing the song that we are working on. Hopefully finishing it. We are not that far. Or maybe we are. I wouldn't know. But on Thursday, we can definitely do some Bezier curves. That could be fun. It can be useful for drawing things. It can also be useful for... I think the thing that you are interested in is using a Bezier curve as a sort of smooth curve for compressors and whatnot. It could be useful for that as well. But I think that since we have the formulas, we might as well just have a way of plotting the Bezier curves. It could be fun. I mean, think of REAQ that we were talking about yesterday with Justin. We could, instead of doing the thing that he's doing, he's more or less recreating the curves by hand. He could have some sort of Bezier control points and I would plot it using the formulas. Could be fun. Right, so let's continue. All these slider variables are namespaced. I want to see it without line wrapping like this. Great. And I will be the first to admit, this is like a long ass variable name, but it is what it is. I think I like it this way. Then all these make sense. Then this is something that we have to think about. We want to have some kind of prefix for this. And I could call this... First of all, why do we have this? Where are we using this? Okay, I see. So this is like a constant. I'm considering having another namespace for this. Yeah, I think I'll have another namespace for this. Constant. Maybe overkill, and we may regret this decision in the future, and then it's actually kind of difficult and annoying to add these namespaces, but to remove it, it's super simple. We just search for this globally, and it will be mostly fine, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so I have my constant. I think maybe the constant works better here. No, it works better there because then I'm doing it by slider. So the first slider has these constants associated with it. Then this has that constant and so forth. Let me actually review this. I see. Maybe I should have a slider prefix to this guy the same way that I have a slider prefix to these ones. No, but this is actually a variable that is laying out the enumeration of the slider page variable, so that makes sense, but this is not necessarily related to this slider. It's just tangentially related. So yeah, we'll continue with this approach. Then here we don't have much to work with. All of this seems okay. And I guess another advantage of namespacing everything is that if you see something that is not namespaced, then you know this is something special. It's a special variable that comes with REAPER. And just double checking that so far all our tests don't define any local variables, but some of them will define local variables. For instance, this. So here I am going to namespace these guys. And I am in the init block, so the namespace is going to be init. Same for this. And then that. And then this. I am 98% sure that I'm going to miss one of these and the tests are going to fail. but I will congratulate myself if the tests pass first try. And if you're watching this and you spot one that I missed, then let me know. You can help me out. This is not just for the tests. In fact, the tests are over. So I'm going to stop here and we are going to review the changes and we are going to run the tests. All right. Did I get it first try? Place your bets. Pass, 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 and that's what I like to see. Okay, the fail on struct. Okay, I will not congratulate myself for making everything pass first try. That's all right. But it's the only one, so let's go to the struct tests. And I don't like this naming convention. In particular, I don't like this. That is better. And second try. And now the struct tests are passing. Great. So let's move on to these. The delay lines are instance variables. Let's review these changes. RMS is also an instance variable, so let's find all occurrences of RMS. And let's test RMS and the delay line that we just changed, but okay. And the graphics seem good. And let's test RMS. Still seems to be okay. Okay. Let's commit what we have. Filters by quad is similar to the delay line, so I'll apply the same trick. Let me go over this once again. Looks good to me. Let's go over this, the changes. Okay. Maybe I was too ambitious. Maybe just this renaming of variables is going to take the whole stream, but I'm still hopeful that I will be able to do some of the graphics today. We are at the instance delay lines. Oh, actually I missed one. So this channel is supposed to be init channel. Not that this is a big issue because the init block is going to run before everything else and it's not going to run again. So it's not, the channel in here is not going to conflict with the other blocks. As far as I can tell, the init block doesn't run alongside any other block, but it's still a good measure to namespace these guys. Let's go over everything from the top to see if we are missing something. Okay, I think that everything up to this point is all right. So let's do this portion. Let's review these changes and test if our beautiful spectrum analyzer is still working. It is. Isn't that something? Great. Now in the slider block, I suppose that we will not have any local variables, or maybe we will. Actually, we may have. Yeah, for instance, this. This is actually an interesting situation because I have a namespace for the sliders, but there is also a slider block in the code. And then these two are conflicting because I have a slider with this type and then I want to calculate something based on this slider and I'm giving it the same name. I have to come up with a naming convention for this to work out. I'm not in love with this, but I have a solution for now. The solution is I will have a slider namespace because it's the name of the block. And I will have a filter by quad struct type. Then I can make sure that I got every one of them, because if I search for this, I should only get, yeah, these options. Okay, all right, I think I got it. And I think this is such a special case that I think it kind of makes sense. So moving on, and I'm not in love with how all the variable names are so long, but I prefer to have long names than to be confused about acronyms and short names. And we are going to have a similar situation over there. And I think that the solution is going to be similar. Yeah, well, in this case, I can literally just put slider in the beginning and it's all right. And then we have another situation here. But in this case, there is no conflict. Oh, but I also searched for the wrong thing, so that's why there is no conflict. No, or did I? Where is this variable coming from? Okay, so I was actually working over here. So with this variable, is there a conflict? Man, naming stuff is hard. Most of what I'm doing in the library is trying to establish a sane naming convention to organize everything. So now I'm doing a search to see if I see another instance of this name that is not qualified. But everything seems to be qualified. It's either .value at the end or .non-shelving and shelving at the end. Yeah, so it seems like it is safe for me to rename this variable, but I will have to be very careful. I want to take out all the instances where I see this name, and I want to put this slider namespace in the beginning. But only when the name appears standalone. Like that. Let me double check. First I will double check that I didn't forget any instance. Then I'm going to check the changes that I made. then I'm going to commit and move on. And at the end, we are going to test the filters again to see if they are working. And there is one last one, this guy. And I think it's the same as the other one, where everywhere the name appears, the name is qualified. So it is safe for me to just put a slider prefix in there. Let's see if we missed any. Well, there are only so many lines. We can actually see all the lines here, so we know we didn't miss any. Then let's commit this and test the filter. Oh, but look at this line. I'm not in love with the long names and everything, but look at this line. You can clearly see that I'm configuring this instance-wide filter with these slider values. That is a nice thing to see where everything is coming from, like that. I really like this. And again, this is a slider channel kind of thing. In fact, let me look at all instances of channel, because this variable seems to be one that appears everywhere and that I often forget about. So now at this point, I should have qualified every one of them. Yep, it seems like I did. Great. Now let's go to... So I want to drop the Burton EQ curve analyzer to test our EQ. And this is a low pass, all right. Oh, this plugin doesn't resize. Didn't know that. Oh, it resizes, but only to a certain point, and then it truncates. But it does get bigger, it's just that it doesn't get smaller. That's odd. Whatever. So the low pass is working, the high pass working, the band pass. If I change the center frequency, if I change to use bandwidth, if I move it around, band pass, another kind of band pass, notch, all pass. Well, for that I have to show the phase, haven't I? Great. Looking good. And this is a low shelf, all right. And can we get some good resonance in there? Great. And what about using this low parameter? Cool. Isn't that a thing of beauty? Isn't that awesome? Lovely. I think we got the EQ right. So we are done with the slider block. The serialized block is kind of silly. The sample block, I think we already covered on our last stream. Let's move on to the Gfx block. And I want to do a search real quick for an open bracket because I may have forgotten some some block variables that are getting an instance of a delay line, for instance. It's a lot of instances in one sentence. For instance, this case here, just trying to get some mistake in this kind of indexing. But there are no mistakes. All right. So instance namespace, check. And now we can start thinking about the color situation that we have to port. So let's see, we have our pages for colors. I'm going to port this over, bring it there to the pages. So now we have more pages. Let's think about this for a moment and see if we want to have this as the last thing or the first thing. As when I'm demonstrating something, when I'm showing this to someone, I think I want to see the design system first and then the DSP stuff later. So I think I'll have it like this. And it's not going to look like L color, it is going to look like underscore dot color. Yep. And then I have more options now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It goes from 0 to 9. Let's double check. 1, 2. So let me actually count this. It goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. We have 9 pages now. And the pages, the numbers of the pages changed. So now we have a slider page color 1. That's page 0. And we go up to page 5 in terms of colors. But because we are using enumerations for this, I renumbered the pages and everything else is still working. So that's super cool, isn't it? I think it is super cool. So check this out. I drop this in the track again, and now we are in a page that doesn't do anything, but that's all right. If you go to the test pages, still passing. If we go to our circular buffer, it is still showing the impulse train given by the EQ analyzer effect. And RMS is still computing all right. And this is still filtering just the same. So super cool. We can add pages anywhere and they are not breaking anything else. So that's that much for this slider. And then all these other sliders we already took care of. All this page situation, these tests, no longer necessary. All this RBJ filtering stuff, the serialized block, the sample block. Okay, and then we get to the more juicy part of this, which is when we start the Gfx block. So I'm going to port over this because it's using numbers from our design system, and I want to have that instead of just 400 and 300. And we decided before that this size was okay, so I'm going to have this size now. Oh, and there is a bug actually that I thought about, but we didn't fix yet. In the definitions of colors, this runs in the Gfx block, but it allocates memory. That's a big no-no for us. So we have to architect this. This, where is it? Where is the beginning of our design system? Here. This is the part that is computing the colors and whatnot. Let's bring this into a JavaScript file. I'll call this remove.js. Paste it there. And we have to separate the memory allocation from the definitions of the colors. We need to allocate all these data structures, and then we need to set the colors. Well, I think it makes sense to set the colors in the Gfx block, but we could set it in the init block. It doesn't matter. These are just numbers. But I think I'll set it in the Gfx block. Well, actually, let me think about this. We do have a GFX init, don't we? Yep, we have it here. So we might as well just move everything up. And we don't need to change anything about the script. Great. Don't save, whatever. I'm removing that file. Okay, that's not too bad. It's an easier fix than I was anticipating. And now we are going to allocate all the memory only in the init block, as it should be. That's not too bad. The changes are so long that it thinks that I changed everything else in the block. Alright, whatever. Alright, so the colors are there. We can move on. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, we have this background color situation. I think on this file, I'm going to do something similar to what I did in the other file when we started this migration, which is to replace every underscore with a dot and every L underscore with underscore dot. And then we have already, I think that this is just going to work. Maybe. Let's see. Maybe this could even be part of this block, because I think we can prescribe this as the way you would do an effect. But I'm not sure. That may be too heavy-handed. That's what we went with last time, but... Alright, see? It is Reaper Gray. Oh, no, it's not. It's broken. It's complaining about something. What is it complaining about? Undefined underscore background color. Okay, let's see. Well, it's not undefined, is it? What is wrong about that? Oh, this is not a function. It is just a value now. So that's probably the one causing the headache. Okay, this is not good. It does not reset the color of the page. Something is wrong. Oh, no. It should be resetting the color, right? Yeah, this is a color that exists. And I'm calling it there. And it's not resetting the color. What could be wrong? Let me review the implementation of the background color function. How about we set a debug variable here real quick. And debug now has a value of the big number. That should be resetting the color. That's weird. Oh, another thing that I can do while I'm here is I can check that I didn't forget any variables, that all of them have some namespace. So constant is a namespace, gfx is a namespace, init is a namespace, instance is a namespace, and sample and slider. And that's it. And then my library namespace. This is great. And also the named string is in a namespace. Okay, so all of this makes me happy, but the fact that I don't see any colors when I reset the color of the page does not make me happy. How about we try to Gfx clear with white. Or maybe not white, red. Yeah, let's do it with red. It's not working. What could be wrong? Let's start a new effect for testing. I think I have one already. Or maybe I removed it, whatever. Let's add a new one. Okay, Gfx clear is not doing what it's supposed to. I am misusing it. Though it was working before, so what gives? Everything about this seems alright. Well, yep, everything about this seems alright. I don't understand. Gfx clear is not clearing anything. Let me just draw something on the screen. Something is being drawn on the screen and Gfx clear is just not clearing anything. Let's look for Gfx clear in other places, in other plugins. If it's set to -1, what does it do? It just persists. That's typically not what I want. I don't want colors to persist that way. Now it worked. That is so odd. That is very odd. It is super, super weird. Do I need any init block for this to work? If I do a full compile reset, must I draw something on the screen for this to work? Or should I just set a color after it and then it will work? No, that's not it. You have to draw something for the GFX clear to be picked up. That is unusual, but I will take it. So we are setting the background color, but in this first page we are not drawing anything. So how about we draw something, which is like the next line. So that's perfect. Let's look at the rounded rectangle. Still missing the color, isn't it? It's just gonna draw with whatever color you have set. And I think that's okay. Yeah, let's do it like this. So now I set the background color. I'll set the color to red 100. Or to an actual color that I may want to use, like gray. Not Reaper, not blue, gray cool, gray medium, gray true, gray warm. I think I'll go with gray medium. I think that's what I was using before. No, I was using gray warm. Gray warm 100. And then call this. Well, essentially, it's going to be a call similar to that one, isn't it? Gray warm 50. And then let's look at this. These are not function calls anymore. So it just goes like this. And I think that these two should probably be space 0. That's a thing, right? It is a thing. All right, we got this. It is a beautiful rounded rectangle with a gray, a Reaper gray, almost indistinguishable from the Reaper actual gray as a background. Great, that's an awesome foundation. And that does this. So I think that is going to be it for now. I may actually check if the tests show up all right. No, the tests are showing up in white. So how about I just look real quick for all the GFX set. There are only 2. Oh, we are also using drawString, but we have something better. We have print. So you can just call this. What is the string? That one. What is the font size? What font size were we using before? Oh, it's going to be very similar to this. Extra small. I don't need bold for this one. I think I'm calling it regular. Then left top visible warm 900. I can do 700 for this one. Body padding is not a variable that exists right now, so I will just put some spaces in there. Or maybe I'll just define the body padding. How about that? Gfx body padding is going to be a space of 4. And now the tests should be showing up. And they are. And they are using our font that is bigger, that respects Retina displays. That's great. And it even reads better. I can see that all the tests are passing at a glance. There are some things that I didn't save. Let me review these changes and then we are going to wrap it up. Yeah, I don't really need this file, do I? And that's it for today. Thank you very much for being here. I see you tomorrow for some mixing. We are going to have Arya over, I hope, I suppose he will be here, and we will continue to mix the song that we're mixing together. Thank you everyone who was here. I hope you enjoyed this, and I see you on Thursday for some busy curves, I think. Enjoy.